It's the second day at the House of Tiny Tearaways. Dr Tanya might be one day down, but the family's problems keep stacking up.
I've never felt that anybody's loved me.
This is the House of Tiny Tearaways. Inside, there are 3 families working together to solve their parenting problems with the help and guidance of clinical psychologist Dr Tanya Byron. She's been given just 6 days to solve the family's eating, sleeping and behaviour problems in what she hopes will be an environment of mutual support. The design and construction of the house has been completed in conjunction with a committee of childcare experts to make sure that it's a safe, fun place for kids to stay, whilst also recreating a realistic and practical home environment.
Can I help them? Of course I can. Can I help them in 6 days? I don't know.
The Hadley family from Leicester have come here to deal with their 3.5-year-old daughter Lucie's tantrums and bridge the divide in their approach to parenting.
Is this common?
Single mum Michelle Wright has brought her 2 boys, 3.5-year-old Matthew and 2-year-old Ross from Glasgow, in a desperate bid to solve their sleeping problems and uncontrollable behaviour. The Murphys from East Sussex are in dire straits at the dinner table. 2.5-year-old Isaac refuses any meal that hasn't been liquidised, and Jacob, who's nearly 5, won't eat unless he's spoon-fed. Solving these problems in just 6 days is an enormous challenge, and with one day already gone, time is becoming tight for Tanya.
What's Daddy doing? Is he being silly?
It's breakfast time for 2.5-year-old Isaac Murphy.
What's Eggert doing?
Mealtimes at home for the Murphys are double the trouble. 5-year-old Jacob still insists on being spoon-fed, and without anyone to do this for him at school, his packed lunch regularly goes uneaten.
In the tunnel.
Their youngest son, Isaac, is happy to snack on ice cream cones and biscuits, but refuses any proper meal that hasn't been through a blender. Even then, he won't eat unless distracted.
Did you do that?
This is Isaac's first breakfast in the House of Tiny Tearaways, and Dad Steve is keeping him occupied while Mum Paula feeds him.
What's that?
Egg.
Egg.
Boy.
What's that?
Fine.
Bone. You clever?
Say yep.
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 Yep. Needs a tissue, doesn't he? You haven't got any more.
Does, yeah.
Dad Steve stops distracting Isaac and quickly goes outside for a moment. But it seems as Steve leaves, so does Isaac's appetite.
Should we go outside? No? And go to bed? Come on then, quick. Have you found his blanket yet? Come on then, we'll go outside.
Got it.
Come on then, let's go
Got it.
outside.
Fine.
Do you want a
Yes.
hammer?
No, you've got to eat this then.
Bang, bang, bang.
No.
Oi!
With Dad Steve providing a distraction again, Isaac resumes eating.
I'll give you some of that medicine in a minute.
What?
He's a clever boy.
Cough one.
With all 3 families now awake, Tanya gathers everyone together to introduce an incentive lesson for the children.
What does it say on there? Treat box. Hands up if you want a treat from my treat box. Right, now, every morning I'm going to bring this treat box out. And this is where you're going to see me be quite tough. One of the problems that we all face as parents, because we have busy lives, is we tend to give our children more attention when they're naughty than when they're good. So this is a way of saying to them, if you behave really well, you're going to get something that you want, but if you don't, you won't. Now, there's two things I was looking at last night. There was children who went to bed and got into bed and went to sleep straight away, and children who went to sleep and stayed in their bed all night and woke up in their bed in the morning. Some of you went to bed and stayed in your bed, and some of you went to bed and went to sleep but didn't stay in your bed. So, who went to bed and lay down and went to sleep?
Oh, there's a lot there. Hands up, Egg.
So all of you get to choose a treat, because you did. Everybody can take one thing from my box. There you go, Jake.
Look what I got then. Look what I got then. Mummy,
What are you going to choose? You can have one of those, darling.
That's
a beautiful lion, isn't it? OK, right,
Listen to Tanya.
so everybody has got a treat for going to bed and going to sleep. Now, the second treat is if you stayed in your bed and stayed asleep and woke up at your bed in the morning. Which two children stayed in their bed, slept and woke up in the morning?
No, you didn't.
I don't think you did, darling.
No, it wasn't you,
down,
sweetheart. It was Jacob.
Wow.
And who was the other child?
Is it Isaac?
It was Isaac. So they are the two children who can choose a second treat. So if you want another treat tomorrow, you will have to sleep in your bed and stay in your bed all night, OK? So, boys, you can choose another treat from here, or if you want, you can swap that treat for something a bit bigger, like one of these.
Yeah.
What would you prefer?
No, that's not for sure. Didn't stay.
3.5-year-old Matthew Wright woke up continuously through the night and so didn't receive a second treat.
Does this feel really cruel? Yeah. Do you understand? It doesn't to you? No. It's interesting. The parents whose children got the two treats, you think it's cruel? Yeah, you do.
It's not very nice at all.
No, but I've got such a short time to help your children learn, and this is a way of helping them learn that here, if they can do certain things, they can get treats. OK? I'll see you all later. I'll see you all later. Okay. Learning is really hard. Learning is really hard. This is very, very tough.
I know, it's all right.
Michelle Wright has come here to solve the sleeping problems of her two sons, 2-year-old Ross and 3.5-year-old Matthew. To make matters worse, lack of sleep at night means that the boys' behaviour has become uncontrollable during the day.
Come on.
Michelle is trying to get both of her boys to their bedrooms so that she can change them out of their pyjamas.
Where are you going?
I'm putting your clothes on. Stop.
No.
Stop. What? Don't pull my hair. Good boy, Ross. Sick of you. Don't pull Mum's hair again. Behave.
Hello. Hello, darling.
He was screaming at
I know. I know. The thing is.
It's all right.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. When your boys are being tantrumy, I'm going to work on this with you today. You give them loads of attention. You pick them up. So what we're going to do is we're just going to try and ignore it,
Okay.
and give attention to the one that's being good.
Okay.
And I'm going to do this with you all day.
Okay.
Now, can I tell you something? You had the most incredible night last night.
Do you know what? See, last night, Ross was great. Absolutely great.
You taught them so much last night, and they didn't have a bottle, did they?
No. Absolutely.
You went cold turkey, and I'm going to do that with you later. You feel absolutely shattered.
I think, do you know what it is? I can do 2-3 days at a push together, and I can cope, I can be fine doing it, but after the 2 or 3 days is when I hit...
It's when you crack.
I feel silly though. I feel as if I'm spending a lot of time along here. It's just it takes me double time to do things.
But don't feel silly. You're here for us to do this together, and we're going to do this together.
Yeah.
The thing with the boys that we have to remember, we have to give them a little bit more, is that they are very tired. And I mean, like you know, if you're tired, your mood and your behaviour. So what we need to do is just kind of go quite gently with them. I'm going to try and get you asleep today as well.
I think I could go another day. I think I could go...
If that's what you want, it's entirely... But even if it means sitting in the gazebo with the sun on your face while the boys are playing outside?
That's it, just I'll get outside and some air.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I could do another day and night without the sleep, but kind of a tomorrow. It depends on the night I have tonight.
I don't want you to exhaust yourself, because the worst thing that's going to happen is that you're so tired that you have to give in.
There's no way I'm going to give in. I can't, especially after last night. Okay. Thank you.
The Hadleys have joined Tanya in the quiet room for their morning consultation, while their 3.5-year-old daughter Lucie plays outside with the other families. Lucie throws wild tantrums with almost predictable regularity, and Mum Alyson and Dad Richard's different opinions on parenting cause enormous tension at home. At night, Lucie won't go to sleep without Mum Alyson by her side. As a result, Alyson and Richard haven't slept alone in the same bed for 2.5 years. Their relationship is on the brink of collapse, a situation made worse by Lucie constantly rejecting her dad in favour of Mum. Last night, Lucie went to sleep in her own bed, but later woke and climbed in with Mum and Dad. Tanya's keen to broach this with them this morning.
Now, this is what I saw in the bed, and this is exactly what happened. So you were lying in the bed next to your man, as it should be. It's your bed, it's your space and time to be a couple. And she came along and she got into bed. From being next to your man, you turned over on your side with your back and you wrapped her in your arms like a tiny baby, and that's how you spent the rest of the night. What was interesting to me is that you'd done a bit of couple time, but it was almost like that was as much as you could bear, and you needed her back just to kind of to hold her. And it was almost like at that point, 4 o'clock in the morning,
The relief that she was back.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is a big separation for you, isn't it? You see, I'm worried, Alyson, that the night that she spends in her bed and doesn't want you is going to break your heart.
At the moment, if I do sleep without her at home, I feel like I want to be with her. So, yeah, subconsciously I should be heartbroken. But I know I've got to do it, and I want to do it.
So my big question to you is, when you are in Lucie's bed with her at night, who are you there for, really? For her or for you?
Probably me.
That's really brave of you to be so honest. So she has a sleep problem that comes out of your emotional need to be near her, in a way.
Yeah, and I suppose in a way that subconsciously in my mind that I don't want Lucie to feel how I felt when my mummy went.
What happened with you, your experience?
I woke up one morning when I was 7 and my mum was gone. And there was just a black handbag on the back of the sofa, and I kept asking my dad where my mum had gone. Where's mummy, where's mummy? And he didn't answer me. But I just remember holding my little brother, who was 1, at the top of the driveway. I just remember my mum driving off in the car and my brother screaming for mummy, and I had to hold him and just watch my mum drive off. And my dad wasn't very showing of his emotions. I can't ever remember him saying that he loved me until the day that he died, when I asked him. And he said that he did. And I can still see that in my mind, and it hurts me so much that I just don't want my daughter to feel any of that pain, because it's ruined my life. And I just wish that somebody had loved me as much as I love Lucie, but I've never felt that anybody's loved me.
No, it's because you don't give anybody the chance, isn't it? It's because you're always dismissing it. You get it, you've got it, you just don't see it.
So who loves Alyson the most? Who loves Alyson as much as she wants?
Daddy loves Alyson, I love her. You know, Alyson and Lucie are mine, and I want to protect them and do things for them. And that's why I get so frustrated, because I can't. I want to. I want to do things with Lucie and yourself, but I just get this barrier all the time.
I suppose maybe, without realising it, I've put a barrier up so I don't get hurt, because everybody that I've loved has just left me.
But the problem with that is that you can get yourself into a situation where you might push away the people who love you very much.
Which is what I've been doing, I realise that now.
Yeah. When I see you holding your daughter, I see you holding yourself as a little girl to try and make better what happened, and I can see that, and I think we need to spend some time together, you and I, helping you separate Lucie, who has got an amazing mother who will never leave her.
No.
So she's got that.
Yeah.
I think I need to support you to separate out what she's got and what you didn't have. Now, this is my plan for today. We are going to have a day run by Daddy. Lunchtime, Lucie will be fed in Mummy's eye line. If Lucie comes to you, you will encourage her to go back to Daddy. If you're feeling a bit panicky and flustered, who will you reach out to for love and support and a hug?
Richard.
And will you reciprocate?
Yeah.
Okay. And tonight you're doing bedtime because that's very important for you, and I think it is important time.
Yeah.
But you're not to lie next to her.
No.
You're to sit on the bed, and she is to wake up in her own bed in the morning.
Okay.
Lucie needs to separate from you because you've held her too close for too long, and because you've allowed it to happen. You're both culpable, but nobody is to blame.
No.
There is no judgment, there is no blame, because I hear your story, I understand exactly why it's this way, and it doesn't make you a bad mother at all.
No.
And I can see that you've been struggling and trying to support, but it's been very, very, very difficult. So from my point of view, we're all in the right place, but today is going to be a very, very tough day. Are we up for this?
Yeah, it's fine. This will be a good day.
Earlier today, Tanya introduced a treat box as an incentive to encourage the children to fall asleep in their own beds and stay there all night. But this strategy is not sitting easily with Dad, Steve Murphy.
You not like it because the others didn't get it?
Yeah. I just felt we was cheating in a way because we didn't...
Cheating? You did really well though, didn't you? Because...
Well, yeah, but it's...
Your boys did what
we
want ours to do.
set out to do that. We do that anyway, you know what I mean? It's like... Big deal. We didn't attempt to try it.
Yeah, but that to you isn't anything, but to us, that is a big thing.
Yeah.
And the same as eating to us.
I agree with the
principle of it is fun.
If doing it in your own home privately, you wouldn't be in competition with other kids, would you, at home?
Well, no, but...
And I just think it would help.
It'll show the kids in a better way that they get something if... The others don't.
If one, you know, some kids can get... If they're like, I've got two all the time, I've got two... You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like,
but then you say, well, if you sleep well tonight, then you can have two.
Yeah.
So it's... I know what you're saying. I do.
Tanya, they've been in a day. Let's just talk about the progress regarding each of the families. First up, the Hadleys. After this morning session, did you view it as a breakthrough?
It did feel like a breakthrough to me, but I am really aware that when you have couples who do kind of slide in and out with each other, that we could have a breakthrough moment, we could have a good day, and then maybe Alyson might suddenly get cold feet and draw her daughter back in. So for me, it's about sort of juggling those moments. I don't think it's going to be plain sailing. I think for both of them, it'll be up and down.
You mentioned the fact that it was the first time you saw Richard being affectionate. Maybe this is mean of me. I wanted him to say, I love you, don't worry, even more.
Well, I suppose we have to see his behaviour in the context of their relationship, and I suppose when you have a couple who have been so isolated and so separate, it's hard for one of them to ask to be looked after, and I guess it's hard for the other one to do the looking after. It's going to take time for them to find that new space in their relationship.
Let's talk about Michelle Wright, because obviously her sons, Matthew and Ross, have got the sleeping problem. How did last night go?
She was amazing, and I don't know how she did it. I couldn't have done it.
How many times did she wake up?
Well, she was up 15 times, but I have to just say to you, within those 15 times, she might have been upsettling them for 15 minutes or so. She got very, very little sleep.
What does sleep deprivation do to the mind?
The effect of sleep deprivation on the mind is very similar to the effect of units of alcohol on the mind. So your reaction times are slower, your ability to process information is slower, your ability to solve problems, to set targets, to achieve goals, all that kind of information processing activity of the mind is just slowed right down. And this is, you know, this is why I'm really having to think very hard of pacing her.
Let's talk about the Murphys and how you're feeling about them since watching supper last night, and what do you aim to do with them today?
I think they're the kind of couple who will work with me better with them telling me where the problems are rather than me being the expert. So that's the way I want to work with them. My job isn't to force my will on other people. My job is to think about how people are, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and then tailor my intervention around their needs. And if it really, really rankles with him and he feels it's not fair and he doesn't want to encourage that with his boys, then if I can't persuade him, then we'll think of something else.
On the second day in the House of Tiny Tearaways, Dr Tanya is only just starting to get to the bottom of this week's family's problems.
Who are you there for?
The Murphys from Beckton-on-Sea need help with their two sons' severe issues with eating. 2.5-year-old Isaac refuses to eat without distractions like books or toys, and every meal has to be liquidised. His 5-year-old brother Jacob will barely eat at all unless he's spoon-fed. Finding out they're the cause of these problems has hit Mum Paula and Dad Steve hard. The Hadleys want to control their 3.5-year-old daughter Lucie's tantrums. Lucie has also driven an emotional wedge between Mum Alyson and Dad Richard. Their different approaches to parenting her is tearing their relationship apart.
Stop it!
Single mum Michelle Wright is desperate to overcome the sleeping problems of 2-year-old Ross and 3.5-year-old Matthew. After years of exhausting broken sleep, Mum Michelle is hoping Dr Tanya can help her finally get her boys to sleep through the night. These families have invested a lot coming here, and with 5 days remaining, will Tanya be able to make her efforts pay off?
I'm sorry if you sit there.
Still to come, Jacob makes a leap in his learning.
What a good boy! And cheer!
Single mum Michelle Wright is making lunch for her sons, 2-year-old Ross and 3.5-year-old Matthew. Earlier, Tanya asked Michelle to ignore any tantrums and praise good behaviour so the boys learn which gains them the most attention. Ross, however, is really testing Mum Michelle's stamina.
Come on, get your lunch.
Lucie, come here. What colour plate would you like? Can't hear.
Amazingly, Michelle manages to ignore Ross for 25 minutes before his constant crying gets the better of her.
Matthew, so happy.
That looks nice. Oh yeah, I wish I could have some of that. That looks delicious.
He's not got...
Do you want to go and take him to the room? Go and sort him out, and Matthew will stay here with me, won't you? Would you stay here with me and I'll help you with your dinner?
Yeah? Would you like a wee drink?
Good boy.
Okay, I'm going to do that. Matthew, just be back in a wee minute. I'm going to put Ross to bed.
That's it, and then you can have Mummy all to yourself, can't you, when Ross is asleep, would you like?
Believing Ross's tantrum is caused by tiredness, Michelle carries him to bed. Five-year-old Jacob Murphy is incredibly fussy with food and will rarely eat unless his mum Paula feeds him. Today, Tanya is using stickers as a reward and a process called social learning, which involves getting children to learn good behaviour from other children around them. Tanya has arranged for Lucie Hadley and Matthew Wright to eat at the same time as Jacob Murphy, in the hope that he'll follow their lead and eat his lunch.
She is the first sticker of the day for lunchtime. Which sticker?
Jacob's funny.
Where do you want to put it, darling? I'll tell you what, because she's so tall, you could put her right up there.
You all right?
Okay.
Dad.
He's done really well, Mummy. Yeah, OK, let's do that. Which sticker for my clever boy who ate all his lunch? The bunny rabbit, yes. So let's put the bunny rabbit on you. You point where you want the bunny rabbit to go. Gorgeous. There you go. 4 more, mate. Do you want a bit more ketchup? A bit more ketchup, darling? Yeah? Oh, Jacob's asking for more ketchup, please, Mummy. There we go. Sweetheart. Do you want to do it? You are such a good boy. Do you know what, Jacob? You're my biggest boy in the house. So you set such a good example to all the other children. I'm so proud of you. Good boy. Using different children to help other children learn. He has been watching everything that's gone on, and that's given him an incentive. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a bit of quiet, please? Could you tell everybody in this house what was on this plate? Chips. A whole plate of chips. Where are all those chips gone now? What do we want to do? What do we want to do to this boy? We want to give him the biggest clap and cheer in the world. What a good boy. You did brilliantly.
Tanya has called single mum Michelle Wright into the consultation room. Michelle has been concerned that her boys, Matthew, aged 3.5, and Ross, aged 2, have not been getting enough sleep. Tanya charted their sleep patterns last night and has some good news.
Now, what I want you to notice is, all down here is the blocks of time that he slept.
Okay.
So you can see how much of the night he was asleep, because the grey bits are how much of the night he was awake. So in total, Matthew was awake for 2 hours and 20 minutes and asleep for 9 hours and 50 minutes last night.
That's brilliant. That he was asleep that length of time.
So that's Matthew. How do you think Ross did?
I think Ross did excellent.
He slept for 10 hours and 30 minutes.
That's brilliant.
He got what he should have for his age.
That's amazing. I don't understand why I'm so tired then.
You were up in the night for nearly 4 hours at different times and you had broken sleep.
The children's broken sleep means Mum Michelle is getting very little herself.
Because if you put these two grey bits together, your sleep, you got less sleep than you were awake in the night if you add these two bits together.
Yep.
That's why you're exhausted and that's why it's a nightmare for you. You've got these two boys with this sleep problem.
And it's not just the one night, it's every night.
It's every night, it's the whole of your life, on your own, with no one to help you.
I mean, I feel really guilty saying this about them because even the nursery, everyone says they're lovely wee boys, and if I could get asleep at night time, I could. I'm so sorry, I can't stop you.
Darling, you're exhausted. You're absolutely exhausted.
I'm so sorry.
Please don't apologise.
I feel terrible.
Oh, sweet. Let me sit.
So sorry.
Please don't. Please don't apologise.
I'm sorry, I don't really feel a mum. I just feel a part-time. I don't want to be out working full time, and there's so many days I feel guilty when I go to nursery, and I would love to just to have the day with them and do fun things because they're only young. Matthew goes to school next year, so I was looking forward to this week just to do it. I need to be able to do it, but along with it, I don't know why I can't.
You see, the difficulty is, the problem for you is that you can. I just think you're too tired to see it. You're too tired to see it. But if they have more sleep and you have more sleep, you're going to feel more positive and happy, which is going to have an impact on your interaction with them during the day.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of you. And that's the first night.
Steve and Paula Murphy have come to the House of Tiny Tearaways to address their 2 sons' eating problems. At home, 5-year-old Jacob won't feed himself, but earlier today, with Tanya's help, he ate a plate of chips on his own. Tanya now turns to his 2.5-year-old brother, Isaac. Isaac happily eats ice cream cones and biscuits, but any proper meal must be pureed. Steve and Paula are in the kitchen preparing Isaac's usual lunch, a pureed roast dinner.
This isn't a fun thing, this is something serious. This is and it is emotional, it is hard, it is hard to realise that, to sort of think that we're to blame. But I just feel as if I just want to sit there and cry and cry and cry and cry.
What now?
Yeah, I can't, because I just feel so much to blame. I just feel so...
You're silly. Hey.
I don't want...
Hey. Stop it.
I just want to put it right.
Yeah, and we are. And we will.
Well, it's pointed out, hasn't it? What? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I love you.
So I didn't think it was going to be like this. I feel like I'm not giving them the attention that they need. Well, the other parents are outside and they're playing, and I'm not. I'm in the kitchen, and that's where I always am at home. And I just thought, I just thought being here would.
Yeah. Hey.
It's really stupid.
You know? It's not stupid.
It is stupid. I'm being completely stupid.
Stop being so hard on yourself.
After the considerable effort of cooking the individual ingredients for the roast and then blending it to a pulp, Isaac's lunch is now ready.
Are you all right, Paula? Emotionally, do you feel up for this?
Yeah,
I don't wanna
definitely.
put
It's what I want more than anything.
This isn't like torture week, you know?
No. No, it's
Okay.
just, if I haven't got my normal routine, like my cooker, certain things I know, I'm thrown, completely thrown.
Yeah, no, I can see that. If we try something a little bit different, OK, so it was a blinding success with Jacob, and with Isaac, because his problem's more complicated, it might not be to begin with. But because we've got limited time, if we can keep testing it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's capable of eating. You both have stopped him eating because of your response to the fact that he won't eat.
Tanya needs to assess the problem and Isaac's refusal to eat without distractions like toys or books. It's a tough test for Isaac, but even tougher for his parents, especially Dad Steve.
Can I have that, please? Can I have the ice cream cone? Right. If you put your finger in, you can have some of the ice cream. Can you put your finger in? All right, darling. That's OK. Can I keep going?
Yeah.
Can you put your finger in? Do you know what might work? If you went in there, pretended you were and watched in the mirror. Because with you there, I think it's a bit kind of... Right, let's put our finger in. Put your finger in and you can have ice cream cones. Good boy. Let's try. No. Are you all right? Do you want to watch in the consultation room?
No, I'm all right.
I think he can see you looking at him, that's the problem. All right, it's about making an association with what he likes. If you give him a simple command like hold the spoon, if he does that, then he gets a bite. Good boy. Right. Then put the spoon in. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Well, and I'll just kind of hang around you. Come on, mister.
Oh, do you want this? Do you want this? Right, pick the spoon up then. Pick the spoon up. You pick the spoon up and Mummy will give you this. Look. Do you want the cone? Can I have the cone?
No, I'm sorry.
Does Eggert want the cone? Are you going to hold the spoon? No.
He's confused. As far as I can see, he's confused on what he changed then to say no.
All right, come and talk to me.
But if you show me, do it with me, then he'll see.
All right, come and talk to you. You talk to me. You talk to me, and we're going to stop this in a minute. We're going to stop this in a minute.
Look, Eggert, hold the spoon. Hold the spoon. Look. Mummy, hold the spoon.
My view is, I don't know. It just doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't see where it's boosting his confidence on stuff.
It's not boosting his confidence at the moment at all. I'm not working with Isaac at the moment. I'm working with the two of you.
Right.
But my problem is you. I'll be frank with you.
Okay.
And Isaac's biggest problem is you.
I'll give in.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Come in. Here, come sit.
Okay.
No, he's not. Tell her what you feel. Tell her.
I'm not angry at specifically anyone. I'm just angry at the situation. That I can see what you're saying. I know I'm soft at giving in with them. I just found it difficult.
I completely understand what you feel. In my position, which is more detached, thinking as a psychologist, you are my biggest problem.
Right, thank you.
Before I thought it was the two of you. But what I saw about you there, Paula, is I think you're stronger than even you think you are. Because I thought that was quite distressing, but you did keep going.
Because I'm determined to do it. I know how much he needs it and how much we all need it. And what a difference it would be. I know it needs to be done. And you don't know if it's not going to work until you try it.
My big question that I really have to get you to answer for me is, who has control over Isaac's mealtime?
Isaac does.
Isaac, yeah.
Okay. Do you feel you've let him down? Is that what you're feeling?
It's just since mainly that operation and stuff as well.
He had the
He
pilot
felt so helpless when he was going through it.
He had an operation when he was how old?
6 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, sorry.
You want to wrap him in cotton wool and make sure everything's all right?
It's just gone through so much, really, for a little I just don't want to be the problem.
Well, you are the problem, but that's okay. That's why we're here.
Right.
And Paula, you're the problem as well, in the sense that you've taught your son to have this problem. I'm not blaming you, but what I'm saying is the only way he's going to unlearn what you've taught him is when you've got the confidence to feel that you can do that. And your behaviour is reinforcing the problem because you're tense, you're anxious, you're in his face, you're talking to him all the time, you're negotiating. Mealtimes are playtime, they're not meal times. And so you're just kind of, each time he has a meal, you're just putting more and more into that meal to make it more and more of a problem. And we saw with Jacob today, if Jacob wants to eat, he'll eat.
Doesn't eat chips, does he?
Doesn't like chips.
Doesn't like chips.
Well, he does. He just did it.
He ate a whole plate of chips.
Yeah, but what was the one thing that was missing when he was eating his plate of chips?
Us two.
Absolutely.
Part of the problem for the Hadleys is that daughter Lucie often tries to freeze Dad Richard out by stopping him from helping her with even simple day-to-day things like brushing her hair. To combat Lucie's dependence on Mum Alyson, Tanya has asked that Dad Richard assumes sole responsibility for Lucie today, while Alyson takes a back seat. Richard's been playing outside with Lucie for 20 minutes, but Lucie's just spotted Mum Alyson watching them from the kitchen.
Right over there. Isaac, wait till you see what I'm going to do.
Let's go on the slide. Everybody else is on the slide. Come on. You're not going in. Mummy's doing something. You're not going in. Come on. Come on.
Does she want to drink?
No, she wants you. So go away from the door. Go on. Come on. Look, you're going to be silly. Be silly there. Mummy's gone to lie down for a minute. Should we play the bongos? Come on. Come here. Calm down. Calm down. Come on. Right, what do you want to do inside?
I want to go see Mummy.
We're not going to see Mummy because Mummy's doing something. So what do you want to do inside?
What's in that door?
Nothing. What do you want to do?
I want to
Why don't we
go
do
with-
something with the bricks? I'm going to sit here and wait for you to calm down.
What's all that noise for?
It's the second day in the House of Tiny Tearaways, and already Dr Tanya's getting tough with this week's families. Alyson and Richard Hadley want help with 3.5-year-old daughter Lucie's tantrums and to bridge the divide in their parenting. Mum Alyson has already had to do some emotional soul-searching as she prepares to loosen the ties with her daughter. Single mum Michelle Wright is hoping to conquer the severe sleeping problems and uncontrollable behaviour of her sons, 2-year-old Ross and 3.5-year-old Matthew. Last night, they woke Mum Michelle 15 times, leaving her with 4 hours broken sleep and feeling exhausted. Finally, the Murphys are desperate to deal with the eating problems of 5-year-old Jacob and 2.5-year-old Isaac. Jacob isn't interested in food and will rarely eat unless he's spoon-fed, while Isaac refuses to eat without distractions or toys, and even then, every meal must be pureed. Tanya has had to break the bad news that the cause of Isaac and Jacob's problems is their parents, Paula and Steve, and their anxiety at mealtimes.
You've given your son a problem.
Yeah.
That makes you want to cry.
Yeah.
Still to come, Mum Alyson Hadley realises the truth hurts.
That nobody else in the world has ever realised the pain that I went through.
Tanya is helping Mum Alyson to separate from the overly clingy relationship she has with her daughter Lucie. Dad Richard has been looking after Lucie all day and had to deal with a severe tantrum when she wanted her mum. Tanya takes time to talk to Alyson about what a difficult experience it was to go through.
I've been thinking about what you said, what I told you this morning, and I think when Lucie was having that tantrum, I needed to get out of the way so she couldn't see me, but I was like a bit sort of, I didn't know whether I should let her see me, but then thought, well, perhaps it's making it worse, so I'll move out the way. Probably a wrong move to move into a room so I could see her, but because then I was a bit trapped in there because I couldn't get out. And I was sort of panicking a bit that Richard wasn't doing, I felt like he should be hugging her or something. And I just felt, because that upset me, but from what I've learnt, it's not really her that's in pain, it's me.
Is that what you've learnt from that experience?
Yeah, I felt that she's calling for her mummy, and that obviously brings back deep-rooted things in me when my mum left.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too.
But perhaps she isn't feeling what I'm feeling, because her mummy's always been there. And her mummy will always be there. So she doesn't know the pain of mummy going away. So how can she actually feel what I felt?
And you've done all this in half a day? Since our chat this morning?
I know now that it's me with the problem. And it's not Lucie, and it's not Richard, it's me. So why do I think that she feels that?
Why do you think she feels that? Do you want to get your tissue? Let me get your tissue. Stay there. Are you sure?
Yeah, fine. But that just makes me feel better.
Makes you feel what?
Feel better because you've noticed that nobody else in the world has ever realised the pain that I went through.
Have you let anybody else? Have you shared it with anybody else?
I've tried, but not to Richard, no.
I think he wants to hear, and I think he wants to look after you.
Zed?
He does. I've just not let him in, have I? Unless somebody's been through that, they can't understand. Richard's had a nice upbringing with his mum and dad together. Unless it's actually happened to you, I found that people can't understand. You couldn't understand.
How can I understand then? Because it didn't happen to me.
True. So perhaps you will understand.
Tanya has gathered the Murphy family for tea in the quiet room. At lunchtime, Tanya tested to see whether using an ice cream cone, which Isaac will happily eat, would provide an incentive for him to eat his pureed roast dinner without distractions. It didn't work, and Isaac's tears were too much for Dad Steve to cope with.
Does Isaac want the cone?
As a more routine exercise to discover whether Isaac and Jacob have a problem with feeding or food itself, Tanya has set up a picnic.
You want to
There's lots, isn't there?
And it's just really, we're going to make food fun. Mummy and Daddy are anxious, we're having a laugh. Do you know what
Okay,
I'm saying?
right.
We could, but maybe now, to model nice, we're not anxious behaviour, if you just kind of eat as well, to get really positive associations with Mummy, Daddy, food.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
My finger in it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Ready?
Ready, steady.
Dip, dip.
You
Go.
show me. Push my finger in. Oh, no! Where shall I put it? Shall I put it on here?
Look, watch.
Can you see how anxious he is about food? Yeah. So we're not going to push him, because we don't want to push him. We're just going to, over the next few days, we're just going to keep introducing gently. If you can even try and get him to dip his fingers into something that he doesn't like. What it seems to me is...
He's never touched toast before.
Is that for me?
Wow, clever boy. Look at this.
Is it for me or on the plate?
Show him how you peel it off.
Not loads.
Yeah, show him. That's a good idea. Show him how you
They
peel
are,
it.
look, egg. Ready? Whoa! One for Eggert.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One for Mummy.
I'm going to just have a watch, if that's okay. So lots of fun. Whatever goes in, goes in. The aim isn't to force it in, it's just to have a lot of fun.
Okay.
You ready? Okay.
Good. Wow. Lubble.
This is a nice start. Desensitising a child and his parents to their most feared object, which in the case of Isaac is food.
There we
in my
go.
mouth.
Do you like jelly? Ooh! There we go.
I'm like, oh.
There you go. It's jelly.
Do you want to put some in Eggert's mouth? Taste it.
Ooh, it's wibbly wobbly.
There was a very different picture at lunchtime.
Steve has recognised that it's his anxiety that's getting in the way of him pushing his son on. But for me, I think it was really interesting to see Paula as well, because Paula, I think, became really strong and tough in that moment and suddenly thought, I can do this.
How common is it for children to have some sort of food problems, and how do parents, or how should parents get them to eat new foods?
There's lots of studies around food problems, and it's estimated that about 15% of preschoolers will be reported by their parents as having faddy eating problems. In some studies it goes up to 25%. These parents are not alone, but often parents are very, very ashamed of talking about their children's eating, and they feel that they failed, so people tend to keep it very secret. So it often is quite severe before parents will seek help from somebody like me, because they feel ashamed that they can't feed their child properly.
What about saying, like, it's really good for you? Like, I do that with my kid. Oh, that's going to make you really strong if you eat that spinach.
Well, if it's positive and they feel it's a positive really good, that's great, because you're making it into a game. You know, he thinks, oh, you know, muscles and all that. But if it's like, it's really good for you, come and eat it, it's really good for you, it's like, that's what then happens. So it's not so much what you say, it's the way you say it and the way you present it. It's about giving space, being relaxed, letting them think, hey, nothing bad's going to happen if you eat it, but nothing bad's going to happen if you don't. You need to broaden your child's food range out from what they are eating, but by generally introducing foods that are familiar to them, but a little bit different. So if they'll eat a biscuit, try and find a different kind of biscuit they'll eat, and then slowly, slowly you can extend the range out.
How are you doing with that sandwich, Jacob?
Right, ready?
Mummy, no.
Put it in there. Put it. Oh.
No.
Okay, now
Right. Well done. Good boy. Good boy.
done.
And again.
I think this is all, you know, this is a huge, big event for them.
Ready? Oh, I can do it.
Nice.
Today, Dad Richard Hadley has been in charge of looking after 3.5-year-old daughter Lucie.
Right.
Tanya's agreed, though, that Mum Alyson should put Lucie to bed tonight. At home, Lucie will only sleep if Mum stays in bed with her, which has prevented Alyson and Richard from spending a night in bed alone for 2.5 years.
Sit on the bed tonight.
To help Lucie get used to sleeping without Mum lying next to her, Tanya has advised that Alyson sit on the edge of the bed and not get into it, as she usually would.
Where?
I'm going to sit on the bed. If you lay down. Right, legs in. Now. How's that? Is that comfy? Move your head over a little bit. Oh, so you're near Mousy Brown.
Where's Jacob?
Jacob, you love Jacob, don't you? He's going and had his bath and he's going to bed because we've all had a very long day, haven't we? Right, Mummy's going to sit here. And I'm going to sit here at the side of you, and I'm going to, and you're going to go to sleep.
I love Jacob.
Do you, darling? I think Jacob rather likes you too.
15 minutes later, Alyson is still struggling with Lucie.
Stop messing about and go to sleep, else Mummy's going to get very cross.
What's that sound?
You remember what you've got to do? Go to sleep. Lucie, lay down, please.
Please, I can go down.
No, go to sleep. Lay down that end. You can do that for as long as you like. It won't work. Come on, lay down. Lucie, lay down, please. Right, well, I think Mummy will have to go then if you're not going to lay down. Come on.
Finally, 1 hour and 6 minutes after she first put her to bed, Mum Alyson is able to leave Lucie's bedroom. But will she spend the night in it? Bedtime is the crucial part of the day for Mum Michelle Wright. She struggles to get sons Matthew and Ross to sleep. And when they finally do, they wake up continuously throughout the night.
But do you need to talk to you? Do you remember this morning Tanya came in with a present box, the goodie box? Ross, listen, the goodie box. And you could only get a wee present. You couldn't get a big present like what Jacob and Isaac got. We'll see to get a big present.
Has Isaac got a big one?
Big present.
Has Isaac got a big one?
Yes, he has, and so has Jacob. But listen,
Is that one?
see for
Am
math.
I getting a big one?
Would you like a big one? Do you know what you need to do to get one? tell Mummy what you need to do, darling. Right, listen.
Get a big one.
Right, to get a big present, you've got to go to bed, go to sleep, and the thing is, you can't keep coming in and getting Mummy. Even if you hear Ross crying, you must stay in your bed and go to sleep without Mummy, because Mummy's going to be right here, okay? And see if you do that. Oh, wait till you see the present you'll get in the morning. A big present. You'll get a present. Listen, and it's the same for you, sweetheart. You will get a big present if you go to sleep. Right, let's go through the bed. You'll get milk in the morning. It's time to go to sleep.
cheese before.
Dad Steve Murphy reflects on the picnic they had earlier and the progress they made with son Isaac.
He tried certain things into his mouth, the grapes. He handled all the cakes, made a mess, there was no fuss, and we made it fun, and we enjoyed it. I got smothered in jelly, I got smothered in chocolate. I think this is a real breakthrough and a real step forward, and recognising how far we can go with this. And I'm looking forward to a lot more, a lot more.